The biggest problem with interrogation is that it involves brutal and violent violations of one's basic human rights. In a report from the Senate Intelligence Committee on the CIA's interrogation techniques after the attacks of September 11, 2001, gathered by NPR.org, details the methods the agency used against terrorism suspects. The report essentially concludes that the techniques were ineffective. In the report, it covers 5 different interrogation methods used by the CIA to try and collect information from the people they have detained. After reading and understanding what the person in charge of the interrogation is doing, it is clear to see that these brutal acts are an obvious violation of one's human rights. The reports also show that the CIA did not start with an open, non-threatening approach beginning their interrogation. The first method talked about in the report was waterboarding. With this, it causes the victim to have the sensation of drowning without actually drowning. But that simply is not the case. Abu Zubaydah was one victim, and during his interrogation, he began to become unresponsive and experience convulsions and vomiting. The technique basically evolved into a series of near drownings. The second technique is the use of rectal infusion. Normally, this would be used for patients who cannot be hydrated or gain nutrition on their own. But instead, the CIA turned this into a form of torture in order to get information out of detainees. The third technique described is the use of a gun and a hand drill. In one particular case, a detainee was blindfolded as someone held a gun to his head and operated a hand drill close to his body. It does not disclose if contact was made. But nevertheless, the amount of fear and stress put on someone in that situation is brutally unnecessary. Another method of torture used by the CIA was the use of chains and stress positions. The CIA details chained up in a standing position for sometimes over 180 hours, being deprived of sleep and often experiencing hallucinations and insanity. On top of this, many times the detainees were subjected to nudity in order to embarrass and dehumanize them. It is hard to justify these actions being for the greater good when they are so barbaric and violate even the most basic human rights.